everybody, and welcome to the Fourshade Studios podcast. This is episode number 3. It is November 15th, 2018. I'm brought to you by Dr.
Really
Choice Cola. I'm also brought to you here by Devin Devon.
Hi.
Brock, half can of green beans, Ferguson.
What the heck?
Okay, people are gonna need context for that.
And myself, Blake Bodenhammer.
Okay, half can of green beans. We were talking to Brock the other night while we were playing video games. And first of all, he didn't know what a fried egg was even called. And he didn't even know how to, tell if it was runny or hard. But he was like, yeah, I hardly cook for myself. Like, last night I ate half a can of leftover green beans for dinner. And we were like, what?
That's a meal.
That's how you get
So, yeah.
swole. I'm ahead of the times. With
All right,
Dr.
well,
Choice.
Yeah, Dr. Choice is elite soda.
Mhm.
So what's happening today?
Well, we're going to roast you for the first 10 minutes. How does that sound?
Just let it happen.
Well, we're going to talk about some Zelda. That's what we're going to talk about.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I know. So, we've been playing all this Zelda. So we thought it was good that we maybe give you guys some kind of insight into our Zelda opinions as the Fourshade crew, like what kind of Zelda games we've played, what we like about the series as a whole, what we don't like, maybe some of our favorite games, just so you got some background kind of about us. So, who wants to start?
Well, first of all, why are we doing this? Because I beat Breath of the Wild.
Finally, after
Yeah.
2 years of it being out,
Yeah,
finally.
It's been a while.
I know I'm pretty amazing, but I'm a true hero. Uh,
How about you go first, since you were the one that just beat the game?
Yeah, it's fresh in your
Yeah.
head.
let's see. Well, I played all of the mainline console Zeldas except for Majora's Mask, which I've only watched Blake play through like 3 times, so I basically played it. I'm all in on Twilight Princess. Everything about it is fantastic. And the Breath of the Wild has made me question that just a little bit. And why do I enjoy the series? Mostly because, I don't know, the sense of adventure, the sense of saving Hyrule like everybody else. I mean, I enjoy being a hero.
Well, what about you, Devin? What's one of your favorites or your history?
So I've played Ocarina of Time. I've played parts of Majora's Mask. I've watched U2, and I guess played a tiny bit of The Legend of Zelda, the first one. Wind Waker, Twilight Princess was my favorite, like Brock. I always thought it was really neat that you could turn into a wolf and kind of exist between these realms. And I thought Minna's character was really badass. But yeah, this Breath of the Wild game was just so good. Everything about it was wonderful, and they really emphasized this sense of adventure, which is what I really liked about the games. And this fantastic quality, even in the mundane things that you do, like just exploring and you happen upon the Lord of the Mountain or whatever, and you see these, Aurora Borealis in the sky, and just they pay so much attention to detail to everything. It's insane. I don't even care about the plot very much. I mean, in terms of plot, there's really not as much as past games. So, I mean, the adventuring part was really great, and they really emphasized that and did a good job on it.
Yeah, for the longest time, I liked Ocarina of Time. I would probably be my favorite for a while.
No one's ever said that.
Yeah, I know, it's so innovative. But just because to me, it had such like this, like the story I thought was so awesome, and it was just like this kind of, I feel like it was part of me, part of the reason why I liked it so much was when I played it growing up. It was like one of these first like big, like, I wouldn't say open world because obviously open world has like a different definition by today's standards, but like at the time it felt like a big open world game, and just like adventuring in that, and then seeing all like the different characters like realized in a 3D form instead of a 2D form, like having that big jump from like the NES and the SNES to the actual like N64. I feel like that was a huge step. But now that after I've played like Breath of the Wild, I feel like that has to be one of my favorites for obviously the same reasons that you guys said. Just the like the pureness of the adventuring is just like you can't beat that. Like you can literally do anything that the physics allow you to do. Like there's certain rules that are defined by the game, and you can literally do anything with those sets of rules.
Yeah, and for that reason, like I said, Breath of the Wild makes me want to rethink my favorite Zelda game, but at the same time, it's not really even fair comparing Breath of the Wild to Twilight Princess because they're different types of games. Honestly,
Right, yeah.
I like Twilight Princess because of the storytelling in it, how well the world is put together, I guess, in just the I don't know what to call it, the themes in the entire world.
Right.
Where Breath of the Wild, like, it's a beautiful world to explore and go on an adventure in, but it doesn't have as much of a central, like, I don't know, style, theme of darkness and whatnot. And that's all missing, but it's all replaced with all sorts of other open-ended great things. Like you said, you can do basically anything, and that's not the case in Twilight Princess. For that reason, they're just different. I love them for different reasons.
Well, and one of the things that I noticed about Breath of the Wild compared to other of the more, I guess I would consider more traditional Zelda games, because I mean, I thought of Breath of the Wild as kind of a non-traditional just because of the way you can do the dungeons in any order, and you honestly don't even have to do any of the dungeons. But what I thought was different was that I almost felt, because you could do the dungeons in any order and that you could fight Ganondorf at any time, I almost felt like that made it so that there was less of a sense of urgency about things. Like with the other games, with like maybe Ocarina of Time, or like I feel like Skyward Sword, as much like flack as it gets, and like for like hand holding, it was like those games are super story driven. So at like all times you have a task at hand. Like you have to save these people, you have to go take this item to someone. Like there's always like, it's like more goal oriented.
Every action that you do has a specific purpose to function within the story. Yeah. And like, yeah, I mean, most of me playing Breath of the Wild was not towards like defeating Ganon and saving Hyrule. It was like, I want to go tame some horses because it's fun.
More like a sandbox.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was, to me, that was a huge difference. Just going from more of like this linear, story-driven type of games to like this more sandboxy, I felt like it was like a more of a lax adventure. I mean, like, it was strange because there was like this huge like looming threat the entire time. It's like, oh, Calamity Ganon is gonna like destroy the entire world, but it's like, to me as I was playing it, I was just like, Well, I'll get to it when I get to it. Like,
Yeah, they like have to set reminders for you to go do that, like with the blood moon and everything. Every so often, be like, just remember that Hyrule's actually in trouble, and you have to play through the game.
yeah,
So, I mean, that is for me one of its downfalls. But it makes me really excited for whatever the next Zelda game is going to be, because like, if they can apply this to something with a big plot like in Twilight Princess or something like that, that would be the most incredible game. It would be so much fun, and I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, honestly, I'd be completely okay if they did a Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask type jump between this and the next one. They just take
right,
what they
yeah,
got for an overworld, make it either Hyrule in its prime, make it something different, add more of a story to it, and add actual Zelda dungeons. That was the one
yeah. That
I
was
felt
one
was
thing.
missing. But
Yeah,
I would absolutely love that, and I think it combined the best of both types of Zelda.
right. Like, I feel like the gameplay was so great in Breath of the Wild that I wish they could somehow carry that over. But I mean, there was plot, but I wish there was just more of like a concrete plot. Like it actually be told to you, not like you have to kind of like seek it out through these memories and things. I wish it like I'm not a big fan of like in series when it's like there's this like there's this big plot, but like you have to like a movie plot, but then you have to go read like a small novel to get something else. Like all this just small like unimportant almost details that you have to gather from outside sources and stuff. Like that's like kind of what the memories felt like to me.
Right.
Yeah, the memories seemed a little disjointed, especially like if you collect them out of order, it can be a little difficult to keep track of what's happening, I guess. I don't know. I agree with that to a certain extent. But I also like the idea of, giving you things as you go so you don't just have like everything all at once and then like nothing else to reveal throughout the game. So, I mean, for me, it's like a tricky balancing act, I guess.
I
Yeah.
mean, you could honestly say they did the opposite thing with all of your abilities in that game, which is something that I kind of missed. I wish you would have
Right.
unlocked all of the things that you can do, which I'm forgetting the name of.
Like the bombs and the
Yeah.
ice and things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it did restrict your the open worldness and the ability to go
Right.
anywhere, as someone who likes Twilight Princess and the older Zelda games, I honestly don't think. I think that would have been okay with me.
Right. Well, even if let's say like the area that you start off on in Breath of the Wild, it kind of acts as like your tutorial area. You get the I can't remember what they're called, runes or something, but you get the bombs, you get the thing that freezes time, you get thing that you can make ice. But I wish they would have allowed you to get those at the beginning, but then received some other type of item that helped you through a dungeon that I don't know.
Or just an upgrade for those runes. Maybe
Yeah,
a
yeah,
not
yeah.
necessary upgrade. That's probably the best way of doing it. So you're not
Or just
blocking
like
anything.
or just like some sort of like quality of life thing. Like
Right.
if they would have just put like some sort of like, let's say at a dungeon you could have got like a hook shot, just because like just as like another weapon or like a way to like there's a tree in the distance, I want to kind of like hook shot to it, just like
Right.
it's a small movement thing, it's not really like a make or break part of the game, but it would just be cool.
I can see that. Yeah.
Some item like that, or like a lens of truth or something, like add some secrets in and like allow people to like further explore.
Yeah, I'd 100% be down for that. But with all this being said, though, I mean, as it is, it's a great game. We love it.
Yeah, like
course
we're
you
not we're not ratting on it at all. It's like the few minor critiques of like a masterpiece, basically. One thing that I've always thought of on that is like, could they somehow like take what they've created with Breath of the Wild and somehow turn that into an like what we're more used to with the dungeon-based games, or like some sort of like linearity to it? Like, let's say instead of just giving you all of the dungeons at the like for you to explore whenever, what if they said, okay, you can do any of these 3 with the items that you have? Like, you're still limited and you still have all this creativity that you can use, but you can do any of those 3 dungeons in any order. And then maybe you get some item after you beat those 3 dungeons that allows you to somehow access a next set of 3 or something.
Right. I think it just all depends on whether they're content on taking Zelda in this direction, further in this direction, which is fine, or if they are going to try and rein it back in a little bit with the rest of the series, which both options are fine. Next game's going to be just as interesting as this one as far as what's it going to be.
Right. I think that's kind of the question that everyone's kind of wondering. Since Breath of the Wild was so successful, what direction are they going to take the series?
You're nodding, Devin.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in terms of in terms of linearity for this game, I feel like there was a suggested order in which to do things. Most people, I feel like, would go to the closest temple, which was the Zora domain place, and that
That's
also
the one I did first.
Yeah, and that's also where the easiest monsters are too. Like, I kind of played through the game twice essentially, and the second time I went and did the Gerudo Desert place first. The monsters were harder, and it was more difficult, I think, to traverse the desert like that. So if you get hit, you're pretty much dead. But I did like that you could break that sort of suggested linearity and do, in my opinion, one of the hardest bosses first, since the bosses scale as you, get more hearts, defeat more dungeons, etc. So I liked that I had the option of doing that hardest boss first and just getting it out of the way, and then, I guess, moving in my own linearity in reverse almost, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah, I beat Breath of the Wild. That's really the only reason I want to have this conversation. I want praise from the entire internet. And
you beat it. You're in the cool kids club now.
Congratulations.
Now for the DLC.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you going to play through it?
Of course, but we've got things coming up that are going to stop that from happening.
Very true. Well, we have been kind of making our way through the journey of playing through all these old school games. We just recently finished playing through and beating the original Legend of Zelda. And just this past week, we decided to sit down together and play the original Super Mario Bros. From the NES. We played it on the Nintendo Switch Online, just like how we played Zelda last time. And I mean, it actually is working out very well. I'm kind of surprised on how nice that is, just to be able to switch control of who's playing and create save spots, restore points, so like just seamlessly.
Yeah, it's honestly way better than I would have expected, and because it's so seamless, like it's honestly like in the same room. So
right, yeah, it's just like it just feels like you're passing a controller, just like, all right, I died, it's your turn. So yeah, we've been playing. We just played through and we beat Super Mario Bros. We actually did it just one evening. We just sat down and did it in one sitting. Um, I had never actually done that before. I had played through a ton of the levels, but I had never actually played basically from start to finish.
No warp pipes. You mean?
Right, no warp pipes. We just basically started at stage 1-1 and went through every single stage. We didn't, no sort of warping, no sort of shortcuts, nothing like that. But yeah, I had never done that before. And I think part of it was just, one, I was younger and probably more so video games, but also I never could get through with the amount of lives that I was given. Start with 3 lives. I never like am one to grind out coins for extra lives or anything. But yeah, that's where the save/restore points really saved us. I think there were some levels that were just super difficult where it's just like, all right, let's create a restore point at the beginning of this level so that we can just basically have infinite runs just for fun.
Right. I want to point out that we only create save points at the beginning of levels. We didn't cheat our way through the entire game.
Right. We didn't just create one in the middle of a level and kill an enemy and then create another one. We tried to play it pretty traditional as best as we could. But yeah, what do you guys think? Was it what you expected? Was it fun? What were your thoughts?
I mean, it was about what I've expected. I'm not usually a big Mario Brothers person, mostly because I'm shit at them. So,
Is this a family podcast?
I already swore earlier. But I mean, I thought it was pretty difficult. Sometimes I feel like it was more difficult than it needed to be. I don't know. There were some spots that were just super tricky and we had to do them like 20 times. It was wild. And I guess like playing newer games, I don't run into that as much anymore. I feel like games have almost gotten easier in a way. So I'm not really sure what to think of that, but I did have a hard time. But it was about what I expected.
I'd already played through it before we did that, so I didn't like learn anything new. Every time I do play all the Mario Brothers games, I enjoy the fact that you could literally make that game today and it would be a good game.
Right.
Platformers platformers that have advanced since then, but they don't leave behind the things that worked, and Mario Bros. Worked. If you were to release the original Legend of Zelda, it's a terrible game by today's standards because we have so much more that we can do. But in the platforming genre, like the stuff you do in Mario Brothers with running and jumping is platforming, and it's really platforming close to at its best. Super Mario World might be actually at its best, but it's close to it. So when you're playing through it, it's a great game, and I think it's easy to recognize that. And that's why I enjoy playing through it.
I mean, that's a good point that you bring up. It's like with Zelda, they've like done so much to build upon the genre that you couldn't compare that to today's standards at all. It just wouldn't hold up. But like with Super Mario Bros., like the level design is so solid as it is that you could reskin that as anything, and it's workable. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like the graphics may be outdated, but it's like who cares? Like people are making like retro indie games that have a call back to this era anyway. So it's like it's fine. Like
yeah.
There's the way that the levels are designed, there's enough of a challenge and like of a learning curve that it works well even today.
Yeah, so you were the one who hadn't played through the entire thing. Did anything about it surprise you
The
before?
I one thing that I just thought of off the top of my head was I was actually expecting more water levels. I only remember like 2 water parts, and I thought they would just be more. I don't know why. I know it's kind of a platformer, and that is not super like platforming. It's like you're just pressing A to move up and down. But for some reason, I thought there were more water levels, but I guess I was just mistaken on that. Um, I guess another thing is the Hammer Brothers were extremely
They
difficult
were
to me.
so hard.
And when Bowser would throw hammers.
Yeah.
I just felt like obviously people are going to be like, "Oh, they're easy, dude." Like the timing is just you run when there's a break in the hammers, but it's like I feel like that's something you have to like just master to be good at.
I'm not sure there's anything more than randomness to it. And we spent plenty of time sitting there like trying to figure it out like a Zelda boss or something. And I don't think we ever really got it. We just kind of walked our way through most of those.
But I mean, I thought the learning curve was almost perfect. I mean, even with the Hammer Bros, like you're introduced to them maybe in like, I don't know, World 3 or something, maybe earlier, I'm not sure, but they introduce it to you with maybe like one of them or something.
On the
ground. Like, on the ground, they're like, here's how they work. They jump up maybe and throw some hammers at you. And it's like, okay, I can deal with this. But then as you get further and further on, obviously they do different things. They jump from platform to platform. There's multiple ones. So and that's how it was for every single enemy, every single type of thing in the level design. Like maybe there was springs or something. Like the first time you encounter a spring, you just use a spring to jump up a wall. That's it. Other times there's like moving platforms you have to land on, enemies you have to dodge. It's just like they were very smart on their level design, which I obviously knew that game has been like known for that, but I just didn't, I guess playing it gives me an appreciation for it.
It's apparent, yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I played through enough of it that I was like, it obviously wasn't like something completely new that kind of wowed me, but it let me see like just, I think my biggest takeaway was just level design, like how smartly it was done in that game.
Yeah, I mean, that was at least my second time playing through it, and I'll probably play through it again at some point. It's just an enjoyable thing to play through.
Right. Well, so we did beat Super Mario Bros. We're going to continue kind of playing through a bunch of those old games that are offered on the Switch Online portion. We're thinking our next one is going to be Metroid. We'll see how that goes. I've never played it. I've heard it's extremely difficult. I've heard that the just navigating is extremely hard without like some sort of map or something. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm in the dark about it, so I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go.
I'm the same, but I know I'm going to start drawing a map from the very first screen.
Right, yeah. I think I might too. So the biggest game that's going to be coming out actually tomorrow.
In just a few hours.
Yeah, actually it's available in a few hours tonight. Is going to be Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee Edition. Or Pokemon Let's Go.
Get the name right.
I'm so used to like Pokemon Red version, Pokemon Blue version, not this Let's Go thrown in somewhere. So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee Edition is going to be coming out tomorrow or tonight if you stay up late enough and you're on the West Coast. Yeah. So that game is going to be, I feel like, huge. I feel like a lot of people are very hyped for it. I feel like a lot of people are very curious to see kind of what direction this game is going to take. Because they've kind of advertised it as a different spin on the current formula.
For everyone, which I think is brilliant. I absolutely love
Right.
what they're doing here, especially if they deliver the promise of catering to the hardcore fans next year. This can only
Right.
go well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you said, this is more of a catering towards just the general public, towards everyone. They want to get everyone kind of into this Pokemon universe. So let's maybe talk about some of the things that are different about them. What is different about Pokemon Let's Go than just a mainline Pokemon game?
Well, I think the biggest difference is that it's on a main console. It's not like in a handheld device anymore, which people have been begging for that forever,
Right.
which is why I'm the most excited about it. I don't know, there's just something way more special about doing something like on a big screen on your TV and you get to see these characters animated really big and beautiful, and I don't know, it's really exciting to see it on a big screen.
I'm 100% with you on there, especially because I didn't have a 3DS. So this will be my first non four-way movement Pokemon game.
Right.
And I'm kind of thinking this as basically what Pokemon Stadium was on the N64, which I loved that game. I feel
Right.
like this is going to be me being able to play Pokemon Stadium while playing an actual Pokemon game. And I've wanted that since I was tiny.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I actually watch the Pokemon battles, and yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
okay. So this whole thing, I've been wanting this for so long, but especially after playing Pokemon Coliseum, and I don't remember what its second iteration was called. But that game was so much fun to me, and just like Brock was saying, seeing the Pokemon actually battle like that, and I don't know, I've always wanted it to be more like the anime where you get to see the Pokemon like dodging out of the way, which I don't think this is how it's going to be, but I think it's a step in that direction, and I think that's really exciting. And just like seeing the world rendered like that is also really nice. I don't know, I've been wanting this since Pokemon Coliseum because that game has always stood out in my head as really nice.
Yeah, definitely like huge props to the art team on this one. It just looks beautiful.
It looks like we all think Pokemon should look like.
Right, right.
It's not quite the anime. It's not quite the old graphics. It's something in between, and it feels right.
With I know both of you said you were excited about it being on console for the first time. If it hadn't been on Switch, which is already kind of a mobile console, would you be more let down by that? Like, let's say it was on like a maybe like a Wii or something. Since the Wii U was kind like halfway mobile, let's kind of forget about that. But what if it was like on the Wii where you couldn't actually like travel and trade with someone or something, which is a big kind of draw to people for the Pokemon games?
So I think as an adult, I don't care as much, but if I was a kid, like how I interacted with my games as a kid, I probably would have been more upset because that was part of the fun, was going over to my friend's house and trading Pokemon with them. Like as a 23-year-old, I don't really get excited about like, ooh, I'm gonna go over to my friend's house and trade my like, you know, I can't think of a Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon?
Scyther, there we go. Wait, you didn't even have no. Okay, a Pokemon that you trade to make it evolve. I don't know where my brain is, but
You're
like
gonna
I
make
don't.
people think that you don't know what Pokemon are. You
know,
can't even
I
name
know.
one
Okay,
Pokemon.
so let's say Slowpoke with a King's Rock. There's one that I actually did.
Okay.
I don't do that with my adult friends anymore. Like, I'll do it with you just because, like, we live together, but I'm not gonna make plans with my friends to go do that. Nor am I really,
You're not going to set up a calendar date to go trade Pokemon with
you
your
know,
friends?
as much as I would love to, I frankly don't have time to pencil that in. And then also, go ahead.
I want to stop you right there because I know I'm going to be putting meetings on people's calendars at work
Yeah.
to trade Pokemon. So
You
might
nerd! No, I think that's good. But like personally, I don't think I would do that. At least not anymore. And then also, you know, as a kid, I would always play my games while traveling, and I don't really do that anymore either because I'm the one like driving. So I can't sit in the back of my car and just like play Pokemon or something. So as an adult, I wouldn't be as sad if it was like on the Wii or something like that.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
since the Switch is so mobile as it is, I don't think it really matters. I mean, it's going to be able to do all the same things that a Game Boy could, so I think that's fine.
Just that reduced frames per second.
True. So some of the things that make this iteration of Pokemon different, again, it is on console, which is obviously a huge jump for the franchise. Another big thing is that there are no traditional wild battles. You're not going to be going through patches of grass and randomly encountering Pokemon.
That one I kind of feel sad about, honestly. As infuriating as it was to look for like a Pikachu in Viridian Forest sometimes, I kind of liked having that chance encounter and having luck kind of thrown into the mix. Now I just kind of look and see what Pokemon are walking around and I just go right up to it.
Right. So if you don't know, if in this iteration, the Pokemon are just basically instead of walking around in grass and getting a random encounter, you can actually see the Pokemon that are roaming around in whatever area that you're in. Their actual models are walking around with your character. They're not like hidden within a patch of grass. So you kind of know what battle you are encountering going into it. There's no kind of mystery involved.
I will say though that I really like their attention to detail with making sure the Pokemon are the right size. I've always thought that was really great because, you know, I would read these Pokédex entries or whatever and look at the size of Pokemon and figure out that like Gengar is massive or like Furret is a giant, and I never pictured them that way in game. So I think it's kind of cool that they're, you know, making you very aware of how small you are or big you are in comparison to these creatures that are just roaming around. I just thought
that
it was
is
nice.
true. It's like what is going to be weird though is like if they go this direction with other generations where like Pokemon are massive, like a Wailord or something. It's like
just like
Wailord versus Caterpie.
yeah, you're gonna have to like somehow manage.
Well, yes, but like you can still kind of
yeah, I mean you can
meet
make it like
halfway,
huge,
you know?
but not
But I like
as
this
big.
idea. You saying that, it made me think of a Alolan Executor and it like just walking
Yeah.
around. You can't even see its head or something.
You like it, Brock? What do you think about them? No random encounters.
So I originally hated the idea when they first announced it, but I've had time to cool down and think about it. And what I'm gonna hate about it is the fact that you're not battling wild Pokemon to get experience. So
Right.
I guess it's kind of a different topic, but I enjoyed battling Pokemon. What I didn't enjoy about all of the mainline games is going through a cave and constantly being pestered by Zubats and Diglets.
It's true. Yeah,
And that will be no more, which I will be very, very happy about.
That is true. I never really thought about that one.
So you're going to be able to explore this world much more efficiently than you ever have before. I'm wondering if that's going to speed up the game, or if you are going to be forced to stop and catch some Pokemon, or if you can just
Right.
kind of Breath of the Wild it and just kind of run through the whole thing.
Right.
I also wonder if there are going to be areas to kind of counteract that. If some areas are going to be so saturated with Pokemon that you have no choice but to run into one of them. Almost, I don't know.
I know what you're saying. That's kind of what my thought was too. It's like, because my thought is that people are going to play it just kind of trying to juke the Pokemon. They're just going to try to like basically dodge everything in their path just to get through to the next gym or something. And like, what is going to stop people from doing that? Is the boundary going to be their Pokemon are too weak to fight the gym leader, or is the problem going to be some areas are so dense with Pokemon that you can't help but trigger the encounter by, touching the Pokemon or whatever?
Right. I trust they've thought this out and it will be elegant.
Right.
And you'll
Yeah.
have to play the game, but yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Part of me is sad that the random encounters are gone. I liked the kind of mystery you had going into a encounter where it was like, I hope this is maybe you were looking for a rare Pokemon or something in the area. You're like, maybe this is going to be the one. Maybe this is going to be the one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see what they're doing. They're trying to bypass that whole process. But I do think there is something to kind of that grinding. It makes the prize more special in the end.
Yeah. Casual people aren't going to grind though, and they know that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I understand that that's not what this game is meant for, so I'm okay with that. Another new thing that they're adding in this is co-op. I think that's great. I mean, any game that is traditionally a single-player game and they add co-op to it's like, can that ever be a negative?
I don't know. A lot of people complained about the co-op in Mario Odyssey, and I love being Cappy. I think it's hilarious. And I think this will be the same thing. If I'm playing with someone, just be running circles around them and doing other stupid things. It'll be fun. I mean, it's always a positive, if you ask me, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen that when you play co-op, the battling system is kind of broken. It's usually you and your partner have two Pokemon and then your opponent only has one. But again, it's kind of gearing to a more casual audience where that's not necessarily a problem.
Yeah, I mean, this whole game, I feel like it was purposeful that they were remaking this in the form of one of the first generation games, because those served as an introduction as well. And I think they're just really accentuating that quality by doing things like that and just making it accessible to everyone.
Do you think they'll continue with this? Do you think they'll do like a Let's Go Cyndaquil edition? Let's Go Totodile edition?
I mean, I think there's
Do you think
potential
they'll
to
continue
have
this like formula to the other generation since they started with first generation?
like, are you asking? So, like, if there's a Pokemon X and Y, is there going to be a Pokemon Z? Essentially, is that kind of?
No.
Well, what are you asking?
Is there going to be a Pokemon?
I'm saying,
Silver
will they take Gold and Silver and apply this same formula to it? Will they apply this Let's Go kind of? You're seeing Pokemon in the overworld.
I see.
Can play co-op. You're basically taking this, but in second generation.
Well, I hope it's not in second generation. I'm kind of tired. Well, I mean,
I'm saying, what if they just continue this? It
Okay.
doesn't matter what generation. I think the point is lost on you.
No, I know the point. You just said second generation specifically, and I got
Yeah,
upset.
because 2 comes after 1.
Okay, I'll answer this question for her. They should obviously skip second generation because there's no way. I don't know why. They should skip second and third, do
It's too
4,
pure.
7, and 8.
Okay.
Well, okay, my
Noted.
thought with that is just like
Noted.
second generation has already been remade. I want to see like other generations that haven't been remade be remade. I don't know. Anyway, that's not the point. I feel like at least some elements will get carried over because weren't they saying this is just like a test run for what they want to do?
I
I
don't
definitely
know.
saw somewhere that they said it was like just a test for the just Pokemon franchise in general, just to see they're just testing the waters with like since Pokemon Go was so popular, they're just testing some of those mechanics in mainline games.
Yeah, so I really hope that they don't have the Pokemon Go like battle interface that they have in this game. I think a lot of people don't. Um, I don't know. It just makes me think very much of using a Wiimote, and I don't like that.
Well, let's touch on that more. So the way that you catch Pokemon is exactly how it is in Pokemon Go, is you're actually throwing a Pokeball. You have the Joy-Cons in your hand. I'm pretty sure you have to use a Joy-Con. You can't use like a Pro controller. And you throw the Pokeball at the circle, and hopefully you get it right in the center. You get an excellent catch.
So, I mean, that makes sense because nobody has perfect aim. And so, like, I feel like this makes it more realistic in that sense. But also in the Pokemon world, even in the anime, everyone has perfect aim, and I like to pretend that I'm not going to waste all of my Pokeballs by accidentally like throwing them off screen somewhere because I am atrocious at aiming, especially digitally. I just can't do it. So I'm not really a big fan of that whole system, but I understand the impulse to do it.
I
Okay,
expect
good.
you, yeah, I expect you to play the entire game with a hat. Every time you encounter a Pokemon, you need to
Turn it backwards. Okay.
stand
Yeah.
up. Yeah. I completely understand why they're doing this. It makes sense, and honestly, I think I'm gonna have fun with it. I'll miss the battles, but I'll still probably enjoy it.
I think I'll enjoy catching Pokemon like that for my first couple, but then after a while, I'm gonna be like, do I really have to throw a freaking Pokeball at a Pidgey right now? I just want the Pidgey. Can I press A?
But
I'm
they're
not. I'm
already
not sure if
making
you can do that. I feel like there's some thing where you can just press A. I don't know, but
in handheld mode. You can use the control sticks, but that's it.
oh, okay.
But yeah, maybe it's just because I haven't played Pokemon Go as much as some people, but I still can't do a curveball with any sort of regularity, and I expect it to continue being hard in this games and with
Right.
Pokemon moving and whatnot. It'll be at least some sort of barrier to catching a Pokemon, and
Yeah.
that's what I'd want. Now, a side note, Devin, you just made me think of a Pokemon game with an AR game where I actually get to throw a ball at a Pokemon.
Uh-huh.
That would be my
That'd be
dream.
cool.
Like
That would
full
be
on
pretty awesome.
I would.
They do have the little Pokeball that you can buy as the accessory.
Just go outside and throw it.
Like
it down the
actual
street.
throw it. No wrist strap. Just
You don't even need VR. Just go out there.
it has technology in it that it senses when you hit something.
Just stalk people from behind.
Just shoots lasers at them when it hits them.
Can a Pokeball capture a human? I think that's the
That's what they're
age-old
really
question.
trying to.
I think
That's
we can
what they're
post that
trying to
on
do
this
with
channel.
that.
We'll have to do a little bit of research into that one. Another thing that they are doing different is they have like a huge emphasis on your starters. I feel like your starters are so much more important in this game than they have ever been. Obviously, this is the first Pokemon where the starters' names are actually in the title themselves. It's always been red, blue, silver, gold, some sort of gemstone, whatever. but now it's actually Pikachu and a focus on Eevee. And to go along with that, they have so many things you can customize about your starter Pokemon. You can play with them, feed them. They ride on your head and your shoulders. It's just like this huge emphasis on not just the version you have, but more specifically on the starter that you choose. What do you think about, I guess, that shift in focus? Does it matter? Does it?
I honestly don't think it matters. I think it's just a nice nostalgic callback to the anime where you know, Ash has Pikachu and Gary, I think it's Eevee. So I really think that's just the main purpose of it.
I'll come right out and say it. It's dumb. But at the same time, I'm going to spend way too much time picking clothes for my Pikachu, and I know that.
Yeah. I think it is kind of funny that you can like change the hairstyle and stuff. It's like your Eevee can have like a little tuft at the top, or like your Pikachu can have bangs. It's like, what? Okay, sure.
Okay, I love that. I love the styling thing. I'm always down for customization options, which makes me wonder if you can do that with your characters. It doesn't really seem like you can, which makes me kind of sad because I really liked customizing my characters. In the past,
you can customize your character. I'm not sure
to
what extent.
Okay. I just haven't seen much about it, so I guess that was why I was under that impression. But I kind of almost wish that they would go back to what they did in like third generation, where they had these Pokemon competitions of like cuteness and smartness and stuff like that, because that's what they would do. And in the anime, at least, they would dress their Pokemon up and like style them, and then you get to choose those costumes to match with them.
Well, you can do that in this game. You can like have them wear hats and like outfits and stuff.
Yeah,
which is like crazy.
I think those Pokemon competitions would be a fun thing to do in the future.
Yeah.
And like they get judged on their outfits and stuff like that. So
you don't just want to battle Pokemon. You want them to play dress up.
Yes.
Yeah, when all that stuff was in Pokemon Platinum, which was the latest game I played, like you could put stamps on your Pokeballs and they made different effects when the Pokeball opened and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I played it like it was Pokemon Silver again. I did none of that because it was just too much to me, and I was playing Pokemon, not customizing.
Right, yeah.
So I guess it's great it's there, but there will definitely be people like me.
Well, another thing that kind of how your starter is more of a focus is they took out HMs, and instead you have moves that your starter, they don't take up a move slot, but there are things that your starter can do, like cut or fly or surf. And I believe that your starter has all of these things that were originally HMs, which I think is a smart move. They kind of moved in this direction in Sun and Moon. They introduced what were called ride Pokemon. So instead of having to kind of bog down all your Pokemon with HMs, you just like use this device, and it called like a Taurosin, and you rode on it to break stones instead of having to like use like strength or something to push them out of the way, which I think is smart. I feel like the HMs have just been kind of a progression thing anyways. They're just like a roadblock that you have to beat some sort of story element to get anyway. They shouldn't be like, they shouldn't hinder your Pokemon's moveset, I guess.
I don't know about you, but every game I've ever played, I've had my HM Pokemon, where I find the Pokemon who can learn the most amount, and they have
like,
all.
This is your job. Like you're my HM.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank the Lord for Bidoof. Thank the Lord for. I think forgot my other ones, but
I would
yeah.
always use Bidoof. Like that was like so perfect for it. It's like, oh, you're the stupid beaver thing. All right, you get the job of being a stupid HM.
But yeah, it's nice not having to go and like switch out your Pokemon on the PC to, switch out like the surf Pokemon and the one that knows, Flash or something like that. So it's
Right.
pretty
Well,
nice that they're streamlining it.
in this game, you actually another kind of thing that they've added is you don't have to go to the PC to switch out your Pokemon team. You can just do that on the fly. I think you just open up like the start menu. You can just change your team, which I think is awesome. Like the PC mechanic is just so like archaic. It's like I understand like that's what happened in the anime or whatever, but it's like why do you have to go to a Poke Center to switch your team?
Yeah, that was another thing in Platinum. I was overjoyed that you didn't have to save every time you changed boxes with a PC.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like just getting rid of the PC altogether and using them, I assume a cell phone is what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it'd be some sort of like mobile device or whatever.
But yeah, it makes sense. There's no reason for it.
Right. So yeah, I think that's smart that they did that. All these things that are just quality of life things, like the HMs, the PC. Again, they're trying to tailor this game to a more casual audience, make it more accessible. But I mean, by the same kind of thinking, they're just making it like more streamlined. They're making it. They're cutting out all this like useless things that have just been things in the Pokemon games that they're things that people don't want to get rid of just because they've been in the game for so long. They don't make the game any better.
They're trying to...
Yeah.
Which I think is like a big thing about this entire game.
I like that they're not just adding more stuff to do. They are actually, like what we're saying, streamlining it and taking out things that weren't working and haven't been working for a long time and actually switching the formula a little bit, which I think is something they've been kind of paralyzed in terms of doing new things or doing new approaches to old things.
Yeah, and generally it's worked out. I mean, they said that's what they were doing with Zelda, and
yeah, and look at how that turned out.
Yeah, Odyssey definitely was pretty out there for letting you control the enemies. That's not something you ever thought they'd do. So I think they're taking the same approach with Pokemon, and since they've hit those two games, you have to presume they know what they're doing, at least.
It's always like scary when these huge IPs and franchises take risks, but it's like I think it can only better the series. Like, who cares if something doesn't work? You know that Pokemon is gonna not stop making games.
It's true. Everybody just likes to... They care so much, I guess. So everybody gets up in arms about change.
Right. Yeah. So, do you think there will be a third iteration to this? Do you think there will be...
So this is the XYZ thing that I was talking about.
Yes. Do you think like there will be a... Like, red and blue, there was yellow. Do you think with Pikachu and Eevee there will be some sort of third Pokemon? Is there... recently, I feel like Nintendo... Obviously, Pikachu has been Pokemon's mascot forever, but I feel like recently they've been pushing Eevee super hard to be as kind of like a secondary mascot. Do you think they can even do a third iteration of this? Do you think they're just going to pull like a Pokemon out and try to make that another kind of pseudo mascot for the series?
I mean, I'm sure they could. I don't think they will. They didn't even do like a third iteration for the last generation, I don't think.
Right, yeah. for Sun and Moon, it was like they came out with Sun and Moon, and then they came out with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Yeah, so if they didn't even do it for a main game, I don't really see them doing it for what they
Right.
consider to be a test.
Yeah, and I guess they did that for X and Y too. So that is they are kind of moving away from that in a way.
Yeah, I agree. There's no way, since this is a testing the waters type game.
I mean, even if they wanted to move back to that, I don't think that there is kind of a Pokemon that even stands out enough. I feel like anything that you pick is just going to be random seeming.
You know,
It's going to be like, oh, Pikachu, Eevee in this random thing. Okay, whatever. I mean, you could make an argument for other Pokemon, but I don't feel like it would be strong enough.
Magikarp.
Yeah, Magikarp. Splash your way to the Elite Four.
hey, that would
Mhm.
be a cool doc.
Well, and how like Pikachu and Eevee can't evolve. You can't evolve your Magikarp. It's just permanently a Magikarp. I have seen screenshots though where like when you go into Professor Oak's lab, there are 3 Pokeballs. Obviously, one is gonna. Do you think one's Pikachu, one's Eevee, and then what's the third? You know?
I don't know. We're gonna
Do you
find
think
out.
Do you think we'll see? Do you actually think they're gonna show that off, or do you think it'll just be like it'll be sitting there?
Oh,
Well, sorry, go ahead.
100%. I think we'll see. I don't see how they could drive fans mad like that. We've always been able to see every option.
Yeah, I don't. I honestly don't know if they will or not. I'm not sure.
I just wonder if it's going to be like in the anime when Professor Oak is like, come choose a Pokemon. You're kind of late, but you can still choose. And like he gets teased with Bulbasaur, Charmeleon, and Squirtle. Charmander, Jesus. God, I don't play Pokemon. I do. But so you get teased with those 3 options, but then it's like, oh, well, someone's already laid claim to those, so here's the Pokemon you actually get. I don't know. That seems like a weird thing to do, but maybe.
I don't know.
I have a question. How disappointed would you be, Devin, if you started up the game and just started playing the anime? You just want this to be the anime?
Yeah, it's just the anime.
I know, I've referenced it so many times. I mean, I think it would be cool to be like the anime, but also like it's not. It is in its own realm, so I don't.
It is like trying to be like it though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very much like mirroring how the story in Yellow version was, which was basically taken directly from the anime. Like in Yellow version, there's actually Jesse and James from Team Rocket, and like you get Pikachu, and Gary gets Eevee, which I know they're doing in this game. Which it is kind of weird in this game. That one thing I did see was, you have like a friendly rival, which kind of looks like Gary, but not quite. And then you have, I've seen shots of a character that looks like Gary. So it's like, I don't know how exactly those 2 characters are going to play out. I know that Pokemon has been moving towards this like friendly rival, which
I hate the friendly rival. I'm so
I don't
done
really
with
like it, honestly. It's
like it doesn't invoke competition and like making yourself get better. It's just
Right.
like, hi, I'm gonna heal you before we battle and then heal you immediately afterwards. Like, no, I want this to be hard. I want to battle you 10 times, even though it's infuriating. Like, I want this to pose a challenge. And I know I've talked to you about this, but I want so bad for there to be like a sibling rival. Like you're just battling against your sibling the whole time. I think that would be so cool. I'm gonna write to Nintendo about this.
They never do that.
I mean, like, the friendly rival thing I get for this game, because it's like we've said a million times, it's catering to more casual players. They want it to be more like family friendly, whatever. But like in the next Pokemon game that they're talking about in 2019, I do just want to straight up like mean rival. Like,
I want him.
I want a
or
Gary Oak 2.0. Like,
I
give me
want
more of
them
that.
to shit talk me. Like, I want them to be terrible. Like, if I see them, I'm like, oh god, my Pokemon are gonna die.
Think of this: your rival pops up, runs up to you, and it just shows you a random Miiverse type post. They've just
Oh,
got a whole
God.
Miiverse with shit on.
Miiverse, no.
Yeah.
And
Like
you can create your own
Right.
Miiverse things.
so it'd be like the Splatoon lobby.
Yeah.
Like run up and say,
Oh God.
9/11 was fake.
Yeah. That's exactly what you want to see while you're playing Pokemon. So, what version are you gonna get? That's the big question. Anyone? We're not getting this game. We're skipping out on this one.
I guess I'm going first. I want Eevee because I think Pikachu's overrated, and I think Eevee is cuter in general. I also,
Eevee's more underground. I think Pikachu's
Yeah.
overrated.
Well, also Pikachu can't do anything. Like, Pikachu is so useless. Eevee, you can at least, like, normal types, you can do some shit with. And for the first gym, Pikachu's completely useless.
Well, have you ever seen Aim for the Horn?
Have you ever seen the anime?
Yeah. Pikachu is not useless.
Hey, but it's not the anime.
People out there,
clearly.
if you think Pikachu's worthless, search for Aim for the Horn and you'll see.
Okay, in this game, Pikachu is going to be useless. I know this for a fact.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to make a starter Pokemon useless.
Okay,
It's
so
in yellow.
yeah, I'll pick this up. I'm choosing Pikachu because I never had yellow, so this is going to be my yellow.
Okay.
Two, I'm not a baby. I don't need a normal Pokemon to beat the first gym. I'm just going to go in there
True.
and slaughter it with what I've got, and that will be
Yeah.
a Pikachu.
Right.
And three, there's nothing wrong with being a normie and liking Pikachu, because everyone agrees Pikachu's awesome.
Except for me.
I'm getting Eevee version. I had yellow version. I loved it, but my kind of reasoning is I've never had a Pokemon game where Eevee is the starter. So I kind of just, that's my reasoning. It's different. I've had my game where Pikachu was the starter. Now let's see it with Eevee as the starter. Turn the tables a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah, I also have never started with an electric Pokemon, obviously, so
Yeah. That is one thing that I liked about this too, is it's not the traditional like grass, fire, water. It's normal and electric. Like, okay, cool. And if there's like a third Pokemon to that, like what is the triangle, you know? I don't know my types well enough to create a triangle. I'm sure someone's come up with something that's close, but I don't know.
I got this. It's Onyx.
Onyx?
And I'm
Rock
getting that.
type?
Yeah,
Okay.
when that comes out, I'm getting it.
Onyx is going to be the third Pokemon in the Pokeball. You've heard it here first.
Straight from Brock's mouth.
Brock is Onyx's trainer.
That's true.
So, Poe, our fourth
Poe.
member of the podcast that you never see, has actually made a decision on what is the ultimate version of the Let's Go series. Is it Eevee version? Is it Pikachu version? He's made a decision. He is a French bulldog. He has infinite knowledge of the universe, and he has decided that the correct version is... Tell him, Devin, what is it?
Oh, it's Pikachu.
It's Pikachu version.
He faked us out. He seemed like he was gonna go for Eevee, and he was like, "Nah, I gotta do Pokemon right and pick the original."
Right.
Pikachu.
It helps that he sort of has Pikachu ears too.
That's true. Well, he has Eevee ears too. But when we were first
Yeah,
getting
true.
him,
That's not much of an argument.
when we were first getting him, we were like, "Oh, he looks like Pikachu." So, sticking to his roots there.
With all the universe's infinite knowledge, Pikachu version is the one of Poe's choice, but obviously get whatever version you want. They're both gonna be good.
Get the version your friend is not getting, so you can trade.
Yeah, true. That too.
Come on, yeah.
So that's pretty much going to do it for the podcast for the night. Again, we're all super hyped about Pokemon. We're actually going to probably play it later tonight when it releases.
Minutes.
We can't wait to play it tomorrow. When the actual technical release date is, we got to play it early. So, like always, if you like us, if you want to keep listening to us, you can listen to the podcast on FourshadeStudios.com. Again, Fourshade is FOURSHADE. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places, and our website. So please go check us out. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.